Welcome to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. And now, your host, Tim Johnson.
Welcome to this week's version of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Thanks for joining us. Over the last few years, Louisiana has experienced unprecedented success attracting new investment and new jobs. Great collaboration exists between state and local economic development organizations and the economic development professionals who make things happen. On today's Louisiana Business and Industry Show, we'll visit with one of these professionals. Iain Vasey is the Executive Director for Business Development at BRAC, the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. Iain joins us when we come back on the Louisiana Business and Industry Show on Cox 4.
The Louisiana Business and Industry Show will be back right after this. Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show with Tim Johnson.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Iain Vasey, Executive Director for Business Development at BRAC, the Baton Rouge Area Chamber, joins us today. Iain, welcome.
How you doing, Tim? Glad to be here.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you for being here. You and I have had the great pleasure of visiting on the radio show a number of times, and so I'm grateful that you've joined me here today. And we're going to talk about your role at BRAC and the team at BRAC a little bit more specifically as we get into the conversation. But economic development in Louisiana has really recognized some unprecedented success over the last few years. Over $80 billion worth of announced investment, attracting thousands and thousands of permanent jobs.
Just in the capital region,
Just in this capital region. And you know, it's been a great collaboration. So tell our viewers how BRAC works specifically with the partners in the parish, the 9 parishes that make up the regional organization, and with the Louisiana Department of Economic Development.
For those who may not know this, economic development is very much a team sport. It's we have the guys at Louisiana Economic Development who represent the state. Their job is to bring in new investment into the state of Louisiana, but also to keep and grow existing businesses. We work on the regional model, which is we represent the 9 parish capital region. So we coordinate the efforts with our friends at Louisiana Economic Development and with our local partners who may work on the parish level. So those are, you've got a combination of local economic developers who operate very much on the local level, representing a parish or a city. We have ourselves trying to get businesses to come into the region, and we play honest broker, trying to get, once we get someone interested in the region, we pass deals off among our local economic development partners, but we also work in cooperation with the state. And not only that, we have partners at companies like Entergy and NRG who are local utility partners who participate in this and help us and support us. But we also cooperate with other regional organizations across the state, such as the Greater New Orleans Inc., GNO, and the folks in Lafayette as well. So it's very much a team effort. We all pull on the same rope, and we all try and get the deals to come here to the state, create more jobs, create more revenue, and most of all, new payroll and new investment in our community. So that's what we do.
And that's what it's really all about, is creating those jobs, bringing in that investment. Now, BRAC is one of, I think, 8 regional economic development organizations around the state. You mentioned GNO Inc., but they exist in the Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana market, Central Louisiana around Alexandria, Monroe, Shreveport, those areas. And you know, I had this conversation with Stephen Moret on the show a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things we talked about is that we've got, I guess, the greatest collection of economic development professional talent that I've seen in the state, certainly in my professional career. And you know, Stephen Moret at the top, great team at LED, you know, local guys that you work with, Hank Grace, Kathy Stewart, others around the area. Address that talent level, Ian, in terms of the professional economic development.
Sure. I've been doing economic development about 20 years, a little over 20 years actually. And in various places, I've worked in Illinois and Arizona and Nevada and places like that. And I'm telling you right now that the people we are very fortunate to have on our team, I'll speak just for BRAC right now, but also the local partners who are our allies and the allies at Entergy and places like that, and the guys at LED. We are very fortunate to have the talent base that we have working, all pulling together. And there's not really a lot of competition between the groups. We all pull together on these things. I'm actually very fortunate to work with 9 individuals that do the economic development work for BRAC. We have been recognized, this is the 4th year we've been recognized by Site Selection Magazine, which is kind of the industry publication, as being one of the top 10 economic development teams in the country. What does that mean? It sounds like a great thing, but the reality...
Well, it is a great thing,
Well,
right?
but everybody kind of, you think about who our competitors are and who else has won this award 4 years in a row. They're Houston, Chicago, Dallas, and I think Denver in the 1990s. We're like the 5th organization to have ever achieved that.
But repeat those cities again now. The company that Baton Rouge, the greater Baton Rouge area is keeping from an economic development standpoint.
Houston, Greater Houston Inc., Chicago, which is the Chicago, and that includes parts of 3 states, I think. Dallas, they had that 4 years in a row as well, and Denver back in the 90s. They haven't had it, and if we can get another one next year, I mean, that would be, we're in company beyond a major city like Denver. So, you know, it's nice to be recognized for it, but it's a reflection of the professionals that we get to work with every day and pull together. And not only that, it's the business community that actually supports our organization. That's something that doesn't happen in other states. Other states, it's often just the state or the cities that are putting tax revenue into economic development. My organization is 90% funded by the private sector, as well as our support from the city parish of East Baton Rouge, and also from we get some state grant funds as well, a little bit of grant funds. But the important thing is it's 90% funded by the private sector. That's the business community here in our region that is pulling together and supporting the economic development efforts to make our economic pie bigger. We're not slicing the pie into smaller slices, we're making the pie bigger.
We've got about 2 minutes left in this segment, and one of the things that I have been really pleased to see over the course of the last year or so is the breaking down of the silos and the regionalism that has existed. And one of the things that BRAC as the regional economic development organization in this area and GNO Inc. as the regional economic development organization in the greater New Orleans area have done is to come together to form this super regional committee. In 30 seconds or so, tell us what that is and what you guys hope to accomplish.
We try to coordinate efforts. I mean, if you think about it, a win in our region, a major win in our region is going to pull workforce and it's going to have people living in their region, or say in Ascension Parish, it's going to pull people from St. James. So a win for the region means you're going to have a major company in one location. They're going to have suppliers all across South Louisiana. You're going to pull workforce from all across South Louisiana. You're going to generate revenues all throughout the state. So it's important that we don't try and fight over deals and chase, you know, that death spiral to the bottom kind of deal where we bid against each other. It's very much a coordinated approach, and that's very important. And you don't really see that. We just had a super regional trip where we went with 170 business leaders from the Baton Rouge area, as well as Lafayette and as well as New Orleans, down to Tampa and Orlando to look at how those regions work together. So,
well, yeah. and I think that working together, right, we will always accomplish more than when we're trying to divide up scarce resources. We're going to take a break. We come back, I want to talk to Iain specifically about the 2013 success that BRAC's Business Development Group has recognized. You're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show on Cox 4.
The Louisiana Business and Industry Show will be back right after this. Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show with Tim Johnson.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show on Cox 4. I'm your host, Tim Johnson, and we're visiting with Iain Vasey. Iain is the Executive Director for Business Development at the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. We talked a little bit about the collaboration of these regional economic development organizations in the first segment, Iain. And you know, when we focus back specifically on the work that BRAC does in this 9-parish region, from an economic development standpoint, a business development standpoint, you and your team exceeded all of the goals that the Board of Directors set out for you in 2013, right? So let's talk a little bit about the success that you guys had over the course of this past year.
We had a very good year, and we're still trying to finish out the year crossing the tape with a strong run. But again, go back to it's not just us, it's a team effort with the LED guys, it's the Entergy guys and folks like that, and all the local parish partners. But you're right. My team has been involved in 15 deals so far this year, which has, we measure our success or failure based on the number of jobs that are created in the community and also the new payroll. Payroll is absolutely critically important. If you think about it, that's new jobs being created and spending that's going to come in everything from retail stores, restaurants, to the you know.
It really is what drives the economic.
It's the multiplier,
right? It's the multiplier.
As money rolls through the community, it's spent, and even more jobs are created. We try to work on those economic driver jobs, which is the revenues that are coming in from outside of the region, outside of the state. And our goal this year was 1,000 new jobs with $48 million in new new payroll. That's a pretty good number.
Significant.
All right, so we just finished our, we reported out to our board of directors a couple of days ago. We're currently standing at 2,167 new jobs.
More than double your goal.
Yeah, but who's counting, right?
You are.
Yeah, you've seen my office. I have the scoreboard right there. And then the new payroll, it's not 48 million. We're standing at 112.5 million in new payroll. As those jobs come online, as those industrial plants are built, as those office buildings are occupied, you think about that. That's new revenue that's going to come through into the car dealerships, that's going to be all of the local stores, and all the suppliers. It's not just the, if you if you locate a big chemical plant or an industrial facility, the guys that provide pipe, the guys that are doing welding services, all of those things come into play to support those type of operations. It's been a very successful year. It's been a record year, actually, for BRAC in terms of number of things. So the investment from the companies we've been working with is over $4.3 billion this year alone. And that's just the projects that my team's been able to work on, which I'm just the guy in the back room with the spreadsheets and the budgets and the managing things, but the guys that are actually doing the projects, they deserve all the credit. I'm telling you, they've really worked very hard. The LED guys have worked really hard and really effectively, and also the local parish guys.
Well, by any objective measure, it's been a great year from an economic development standpoint, not just in Greater Baton Rouge, but the state in general.
Sure.
Now, one of the signature deals that took place over the course of this past year, as we, end of last year, coming into 2013, was this great announcement by IBM. And they're bringing the 800 jobs and $50+ million worth of investment, a brand new, sparkling, beautiful facility that they're going to build downtown. Great partnership with LSU. Really a unique economic development project that can set the stage for even greater things in the future. So let's talk in some detail about this IBM project that is well underway here in the Baton Rouge area.
You think about this deal. Before that deal was announced, the guys from the state, our team, the mayor's office, we were working on that deal for about 18 months, all the way through from the initial, where they started out looking at about 16 or 17 cities, I seem to think, and then they started narrowing it down and eliminating other cities. And it came down to various things like workforce. The guys at LSU and Dean Kubek, who runs the engineering college over there, absolutely critical in this deal. The Fast Start training program to get these new workers up and running, absolutely critical to winning that deal. Now, the important thing about this deal is it changes the face of how national IT companies look at us. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we wouldn't have got a look probably, because the perception of Baton Rouge was very much as an industrial river town. Let's be honest there. But looking at IBM building a new facility on the river, I mean, this is an important redevelopment deal for downtown if you think about it as well. The vacant blocks sitting on the river, by the time we're going to be done, there's going to be our friends at the Baton Rouge Area Foundation, which are in their team that are building the facility, 11-story and a 7-story building. I mean, those are fantastic things. It's going to change as you come across the bridge, as you're looking into downtown Baton Rouge. In a year's time, you probably won't. You'll look at this thing and go, "Wow, this is pretty cool, isn't it?"
Well, we had Tim McLaughlin on the radio show. Tim is the gentleman who's sort of leading the effort for IBM in this area, and I think they're already at 100+ employees working out of another facility while they await the construction of the facility that's been planned. And they're pretty excited to be here, and they talk in glowing terms about the work of Louisiana Economic Development, the work of BRAC, the work of the regional partners, the response they've gotten from LSU, the work that Jeff Lynn and his team are doing from Fast Start to help them find and train their employees. So from a personal standpoint, from a professional standpoint, and from the perspective of your team, you guys got to feel really good about that.
We do, but this is only the first step. I think the most important thing about this deal is that the size of the LSU and also other universities like Southern and Southeastern, their computer engineering programs are going to expand significantly. LSU is an example, triple the size of number of students that are going to be coming out with computer engineering degrees. Think about what that does for our pipeline of workforce. All of those kids that are going to be coming out with degrees in computer science, that's going to put us in a position to be more competitive for other deals that we're going to get a look at. And I talked to Morey a couple of weeks ago, and you look at the pipeline of IT deals that are not just looking at Baton Rouge, but are looking across the entire state. Those are the kind of deals that putting this kind of resource, this pipeline to be able to increase the number of qualified workers coming out in a specific field, it's going to be a very important thing as we move forward. And it's not just one deal, it's multiple deals.
Well, we hear a lot about this expansion of the petrochemical business in the industry across the state, and this diversification, I think, is a great thing. We're going to take a break. We come back. I want to get into what might be on the horizon for BRAC and its business development efforts. We're visiting with Iain Vasey. He's the Executive Director for Business Development at BRAC, and you're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show on Cox 4.
The Louisiana Business and Industry Show will be back right after this. Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show with Tim Johnson.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. We're visiting with Iain Vasey. Iain's the Executive Director for Business Development at BRAC, the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. And Iain, these low natural gas prices, as we know, are driving a lot of these announcements and this investment that we're seeing.
Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, but you know, other things are taking place here too. So I ask you this, low natural gas prices notwithstanding, what do you believe are the two most significant factors that are creating the economic development we're seeing in this region and specifically in the greater Baton Rouge area?
Well, every deal is different. Every company's going to look at the region differently. But, you know, if you really break it down, you've got some very strong geographic advantages. The river being able to access the Gulf of Mexico, being able to bring deep water draft ships in. We've got the pipeline network in place. So you've got like the infrastructure around the region. That's critically important. You look at the low cost of doing business. I think that's probably the overall thing that drives deals. When you get down to it, companies have a cost matrix and they figure out what the cost of coming into a specific location is. So that is made up of everything from taxes to cost of real estate to the cost of labor. I mean, if you've got affordable labor that's good quality, that can operate and have high productivity levels, those are decisions those are very important in making your decision matrix kind of come together. So you look at it, geography on one side, and then you also look at the cost of doing business. Those are the two factors that are driving a lot of the growth.
You know, and those who listen to our radio show know that I am a big advocate for what exists naturally in Louisiana. I mean, if you think about it, all these natural resources, the great culture here, the great joy of life, the work ethic that is documented among our people, the ownership that they take of their facilities and their jobs, all this fertile farmland, the Gulf of Mexico and access to oil and gas and to emerging economies all over the world. the city of New Orleans and the culture that it brings. And then we sit at the mouth of the greatest economic transportation artery in the world, the Mississippi River. And so, you know, as you say, all of those things really contribute. Now, when we talk about the Mississippi River and the Gulf of Mexico, one of the things that it brings to mind is, what are we doing to capture work and capture projects internationally? And you guys have put a great focus on international recruitment at BRAC. So tell us about that program and some of the things you're working on, and maybe some of the trips you've taken to go out there and attract that investment.
Yeah, we go all kinds of cool, interesting places.
You've yet to take me with you, by the way, but we'll talk about that later.
You know what? We don't compete just with Texas anymore. We don't compete with Mississippi. When international companies are looking, they're not just looking at the Gulf Coast, they're looking at international projects. They're looking at, do they site a new facility in Europe? Do they go to China? Do they go to Japan? Where do they go? And we can't sit back and wait for deals to come to us. If you do that, you lose. You become very reactive. So we have to be very focused. But we don't have a lot of resources. So what we did last year is we looked at our five target sectors where we are the most cost effective. If you think about the movie Moneyball, remember you focus your areas where you've got the highest win percentage.
Sabermetrics, right?
Absolutely. That's the way we do economic development, really, if you think about it when you drill it down. So we figured out in 5 target sectors, we are the most competitive. And then we went back and looked at the markets where those deals originate from. And you know, everybody talks about Brazil and China and things like that. But the reality is deals that are in our sweet spot, in our wheelhouse, are coming from Japan and Taiwan. They're coming from Germany, along the Rhineland. They're coming from London, around in England, around there. And they're also coming from Canada. I've had people in Canada up a couple of times this year. I had one of my team in Germany meeting with companies, and in the UK. And one of our team was with Mayor Holden and meeting with companies in Taiwan. And I think looking forward into 2014, we're going to be continuing those efforts in those markets.
It really is a great program. Now, you mentioned 2014. We've got about 2 minutes left, a little less than that. So let's go into what's on the horizon for BRAC. What are your 2014 goals from a business development standpoint, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Right. Well, we worked it through in a workshop with our board of directors. That's pretty much the business community, business leaders in town. And we're targeting 1,000 new jobs for the community, but not just to hit our 48 million in payroll. We want to raise that about 20%. So we started 2 years ago at 40 million, raised it to 48. Now we're going to try and get to 57 million in new payroll. The payroll spend,
although you did hit over 100 million in payroll this year, right? But I understand the caution.
There's a couple of deals out there that made those numbers kind of higher than you might otherwise expect. But also there's a lot of global uncertainty. You look at things like the Healthcare Act, you look at the impact on business, you look at what's going on with the Fed. I mean, you've got a number of factors out there, but we're very optimistic for what's going on in Baton Rouge area. We're going to be out recruiting, and we're going to, most important thing is we're going to be rebuilding our business retention and expansion efforts.
Focusing on those businesses that are already here and what we can do to help them grow. I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's something that the state has been working on for a couple of years as well. Well, we'll look forward to having you back on the show to talk about the successes that you have over the course of the year during 2014. Iain Vasey, Executive Director, Business Development, Baton Rouge Area Chamber. Thanks for being with us today, my friend.
Thanks, Tim.
Good to see you. Good to see you. That's a wrap, guys. Join us this time next week for another edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show on Cox 4.